if your mind won't shut down? You feel like you're constantly running, you replay situations on repeat, or you feel stuck in anxiety, depression, anger, trauma. This live is for you. Welcome to Journal Time. I'm going to give you 6 therapist based prompts proven by research to change your life. And these prompts are CBT prompts, also known as cognitive behavioral therapy prompts. A fancy way to say that it starts here with our thoughts, our cognition. Our thoughts affects our emotions, and our emotions affect what comes out of our mouths and our actions. But we can reverse engineer it and challenge those thoughts. Guess what? We can literally change our lives. And so I'm going to give you some powerful journal prompts that you can use. I would encourage you to use it twice a week. So let's get it rolling. Let's get it rolling. So prompt number 1. Pretty simple. What happened? You're going to think about your day or your week in chronological order. Hello, thanks for joining, Jan. This happened, that happened, and so forth. Pretty basic, right? Prompt number 2. How do I feel? How do I feel? So we're tapping into our emotions, and many times as adults, we don't do this often enough, right? And this is why in order to heal, you have to be like a child. And so going back to the emoji chart from kindergarten, I like to use the feeling wheel or the feeling pillow. If you Google this feeling wheel, save the screenshot. It just gives you more language, okay? Because sometimes you can't quite pinpoint the feeling. All right, let's go to prompt number 3. What are my inner thoughts? This is key. What are my inner thoughts? Why? Because we think thousands of thoughts to ourselves each day. And many times it's like having all these open tabs. We're lagging. Our emotional battery is low and we don't know why, because we got to close those tabs. And so just imagine your journal is like that imaginary container. We want to contain all those thoughts, sometimes for later to process, but it's important to place them somewhere because it affects us more than you realize. If you struggle with overthinking, you'll find that you can just lay down and feel exhausted because you've been thinking on repeat the same thing for hours, okay? And so this is key. And someone just commented, your inner thoughts are to still and drink Kool-Aid. And oh my goodness, hilarious. We got jokes here in the chat. But anyway, let's keep it rolling. All right, let's keep it rolling. And tell me where you're tuning in from. Let's go to prompt number 4. Prompt number 4. You want to challenge those thoughts by asking, is there any evidence to support these thoughts? And when I say evidence that can be used in a court of law. Did I hear this person say this? Did I get a screenshot? Did I get an email? We're not going just by my gut feeling or gossip, okay? Because if you ever play the game of telephone, by the time the message gets to the other side of the line is a different message, okay? This is key. Why? Because a lot of our thoughts are based from past fears and traumas, or sometimes we future forecasts, right? We have catastrophic thinking. I mean, just watch the news enough and you know that will happen. And so many times our thoughts are not based in the present. We're either living in the past or in the future. And I don't know about you, but if I decided to start walking while looking behind me, guess what? I'm going to end up getting hurt. And many times that's how we live our lives. We're not even focused on the moment. And that is really, really tough. Okay. And so let's go to prompt number, where we at? Drum roll. 5. You want to ask yourself now the opposite question. Is there any evidence to contradict these thoughts? Why is that key? Because we want to look at our thoughts in a way that is critical. Many of us are critical thinkers at school, at work, but when it comes to our own thoughts and feelings, we kind of throw those skills out the door. We say, no, I'm entitled to feel upset. I should feel upset. And perhaps at times, our feelings are valid. But if we don't check them, then we don't grow. We don't grow. All right. And so let's keep it rolling. So if you challenge with overthinking, perhaps you wonder why your anxiety is high. Your body is built to protect you. And that's what anxiety does. Now, if my house is burning, I want to have racing thoughts. I want my adrenaline to be, my heart pounding, my adrenaline to be up because that's going to help me move quickly. But I don't want to feel like my house is burning every day. Okay. And this is where these journal prompts can help to ground you. And I always tell my clients the power of any tool is how often you use that tool when you don't need it. Okay. So, what does that mean? It's important to practice. Practice. That way you have a mind body connection. And so let's go to prompts number 6. What can I do differently? This may or may not apply because maybe, you know what? I do think I responded the right way in that situation. Good. And you know what? I want to give you an actual example, okay, of using these 6 prompts. So let's just say I went to work and I had this presentation, and unfortunately, I bombed the presentation. I missed a couple of slides, and I'm so frustrated, right? And, I'm flustered. I kind of mess up. And I'm wondering if my supervisor and colleague view me as incompetent. Off the bat, I just answered the first 3 prompts. I just told you what happened, right? I had a presentation. I missed a couple of slides. Number 2, how do I feel? I felt very, very frustrated. Number 3, my inner thoughts. I wonder how others view me. And if you struggle with perfectionism, you may find your thoughts surrounded more so around how others view you. Okay, you may struggle with people pleasing. Now, we're going to go deeper. This is where, hi, Trisha, thanks for joining, the mental push ups come in. You want to now ask yourself prompt number 4, is there any evidence to support these thoughts? Well, if I ask myself that, I'm like, well, yes, I do have some evidence. I did mess up on a couple of slides, right? We're not going to lie to ourselves. We're not going to engage in toxic positivity. We're not in delusion. I did mess up. Sometimes we have those days, right? Is there any evidence to contradict the thoughts that I'm a failure? Well, I did have a great performance review last month and a raise. So perhaps I just made a mistake. Do you see how these prompts can level things out? Many times where we're in the heat of the moment, we have tunnel vision, and we need to kind of like step back and have a bird's eye view of everything. All right. Sometimes we spiral and we're really, really hard on ourselves. So these 6 journal prompts will help you and prevent you from falling into the trap of really kind of having those self-loathing thoughts, right? And so I hope that these prompts were helpful for you. And, it's interesting because, our thoughts are so key, because what we think over and over again is what we become. Meditation is so important. What you meditate on really shapes not only your thoughts, your behavior, your actions, but your future. All right. And, scripture says, so a man thinketh, so is he. It's no different from what the CBT theory says. Our thoughts affects our emotions affect our actions, the words that come out of our mouth, and so forth, our behavior. And so this is why many times we may not realize our triggers, But if we can reverse engineer it, it does go back to our thoughts. And some people say, well, I can control my thoughts, right? Many times my thoughts are impulsive. And that is true. We have random thoughts and we are not our thoughts. But it is important to know that you can have that thought, you can acknowledge it, and then you can say, you know what? I decide I'm going to move differently. And that is the key to growth. And so the thing with our brain is that 80% of our brain is developed by the age of 10. And if you experience childhood trauma, you may feel discouraged and say, well, I guess that's great for me. But the beautiful thing is that the brain is neuroplastic. We form trillions of connections each day. So you just joining this live, listening to these prompts are going to help you to rewire your brain, forming new connections. Imagine a train, right? I'm originally from New York. And so let's say I'm taking the A train. The A train has a certain route. What we're trying to do with these journal prompts is derail that train. So when you're triggered, instead of just quickly reacting, these prompts are going to be used as breakers to help you slow down and respond, to imagine a new way of relating, a new way of seeing how you view yourself and the world around you. But that takes time. Okay. And so if you can practice these prompts twice a week, I guarantee you in about 6 to 8 weeks, you should notice a shift. I always tell my clients the power of any tool is how often you use that tool when you don't need it. All right. That creates that mind body connection. For example, if I have a license to carry and I never go to a gun safety class, I never go to the range to practice, guess what? If an intruder comes into my house, I'm just going to be a mess, more likely to hurt myself. All right. And so, in order to have that mind body connection, I have to practice. That way, it's natural. I don't have to think. That's the same thing with therapeutic tools. Many times people try therapy, they try the tools once or twice and say, it didn't work for me. Well, because you haven't created a habit yet. It takes time. And that's with anything in life. If you just join the gym and work out here and there, you're not going to see results. But with consistency, you'll start to find a groove. And then you slowly will notice a shift. And so set a reminder on your phone to journal and be realistic. If you're not a morning person, don't try to be like these influencers. I wake up at 6 a.m., I make my bed, I'm going to journal. Like, no, boo boo. If that's not you, that's not you. If you're a night owl, set an alarm in the evening to journal. It doesn't have to be a long process. And when you journal, don't go back and reread it. Okay. Unless maybe something recent, but I wouldn't like read journals from 6 months ago, 2 years ago. When you're done, throw it out. Why? Because this is a dumping ground. Okay. This is a place for you to decompress, pretty much take the trash out. I hope you don't go through your trash when you take it out. Okay. You just you're done, you're done. And so hopefully that helps you. If you're interested in more mental health tools, I do talk about anxiety, depression, relationship, narcissistic systems, and perimenopause. And so definitely browse through my videos to check out what's on the channel. But thank you for joining me on this live. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here. And remember, taking care of your mental health is something that you do one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. It's all about being present. Perfection does not live here. I'm always the first to say, as a therapist, I have a therapist. We all have issues, okay? Some people hide it better than others, but if you're living, life is hard, but don't live life alone without support. If you can't afford therapy, find a trusted friend that's not toxic, all right, that can keep things confidential. But as always, thanks for watching and much love.